Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here from this beautiful state of California. I am your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as this will be our final show, not only of here of the week, but also here in San Jose. Hopefully next time you see us here on Inside Arkansas Live, we'll be back from the comfort of our homes in Fayetteville, Arkansas. But either way, we got a lot of things to talk about. I know there's still a lot of things on people's minds from the season coming to an end for the Razorback basketball team last night, which I know we'll get into that, as well as the future, as well as how things are going to go from here, some of the things going on in March Madness, and try to recap everything. But fellas, I know the vibes were not the highest last night because the season came to an end. Now that you've had at least a couple of hours of sleep, anything change? You're feeling a little bit better, feeling a little bit different, worse? Just what are the vibes like here on a Friday?
I don't feel any better. No, not at all, man. The season's over. I love covering this team, and so it's not going to sit well with me. It's going to take more than one sleep to reconcile with no more Darius Acuff. You know what I mean? And Trevin Brazile, I almost barely remember what Arkansas basketball is like without having that dude around. So that's sad. Great season, a lot to be proud of, a lot that they really accomplished. And I was talking about this on the Pod the Palace earlier this morning, but you could look at it and say, well, it ended in the Sweet 16, so are they just kind of stuck in this place? Well, no, they're not. If you look at the amount of more wins they had in the regular season, they were 9th in the SEC last year, tied for 2nd this year. They won the SEC tournament. They were a 10 seed last year, a 4 seed this year. So they made a lot of very real progress from last season to this. But the one thing that Arizona game really left no doubt about is that there are still levels to this, and Arkansas is not on the highest of the high levels. So there is room for improvement, some things that have to change, and an uptick in the talent and size and physicality department that hopefully is on the horizon, because I'm looking forward to the year where, we look at this Arkansas team and they are the buzzsaw. They are the team that's different than anybody else. Even with Darius Acuff, they weren't quite that this year, and doesn't mean they didn't have a great season, but it does make me kind of look at it and go, damn, even with that dude, there's still another level this program has to get to.
Yeah, I'm with you that I kind of feel almost worse the next morning. Now, also, I woke up 20 minutes ago, so maybe once I get my bearings about me, maybe I'll feel a little bit better. But yeah, I definitely don't feel this renewed sense of joy and optimism this morning. But that's just kind of what it feels like the day after your season ends. And as much as I would love to appreciate it as the baseball guy of like, oh yeah, now we're moving on to baseball season. Even while doing the bombastic last night, I'm like, man, I would so much rather be trying to balance things and be trying to figure out how we're going to make it work schedule wise, and be trying to figure out how we're going to make our Easter weekends work in Indianapolis. And that kind of stuff is crazy, hectic, but it's fun as hell. And now that the dust is starting to settle and basketball season really is over, I don't miss the chaos, or I'm not like happy to not have that chaos. Like, I wish I had that chaos of trying to figure out how we're going to make the travel work these next few weeks, how we're going to make the coverage and all that happen. And so I'm sure I'll get over it. I know I will. We're going to pick ourselves right back up and get on that horse. But the next day, I'm still a little somber.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, to be honest. It's like there's such a finality to it, which obviously, yes, the season came to an end, so it is final. But we were talking last night after we got back to our Airbnb and just kind of drowning our sorrows in some pizza late night. But it's just it's such a quick turn for me of like where. I'm excited. I've enjoyed this trip. I've wanted this trip to keep going. I'm hoping, just like you were saying, Andrew, that we'd be preparing for, an Elite Eight matchup against Purdue happening here today, instead of talking about this like 100%. But as soon as the season comes to an end, it's like, all right, let's go home. Let's just get out of here and let's just go home. Let's recharge the battery, shut down the engines, and let's get back into it. And that's where it's like it's almost like a matter of today's show in a way can be kind of like a reflection on it all. Like, you want to move forward. That sucked last night in every regard. You want to move forward, but there's also an element to where, yes, you can reflect on the season. You can reflect on the highlights of it. We don't have to talk about the lowlights there because there's a lot of highlights to choose from, and you can still feel great about the situation. I recorded my Locked On last night too, guys, and I was just thinking about, Mike, I'm not sitting here saying it's the greatest thing ever, but just I feel good about the program, you know, just in general. I feel great about the direction. I feel great about next year. You know, we don't even know what the roster is going to fully look like yet. We don't know who's staying. We don't know who's returning. The only thing we do know is the freshmen that are coming in, which last time I checked, they're pretty good. So, you know, there's just, I get it. It sucked last night, but there's still so many things to feel good about with this program. And I'm going to tell you, it's just, if you told me, hey, Arkansas is going to be back in the Sweet 16, or at least in the second week next year, I'll be like, not surprising. But hopefully this time you go a little bit further. Hopefully this time you have a better showing. But you got some work to do. You're not one of those teams, as you said, Curtis. Hopefully you can get to be one of those teams. But, you know, next year is a new year, and there's reasons to feel really good about the possibility of next season being an even better one.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's kind of where I'm at with it from a standpoint of I have zero doubt whatsoever that, and because there's a lot of uncertainty about who's coming back, who's coming in, everything like that. Whatever the roster winds up being, there is zero doubt in my mind that it's going to be second weekend capable. Like a Sweet 16, I just, and maybe that's foolish. Maybe it's being a little bit too prideful in what the program's accomplished lately, taking things for granted, whatever. But I feel pretty darn confident that they're at the least going to be in that qualification. But you know, and hey, if that's what they wind up doing, I'll be happy with it. I will never apologize. I will never complain about Arkansas making a Sweet 16 in basketball and being one of the final 16 teams standing in the country. That's awesome. That's not something that teams accomplish every single year, but Arkansas has been able to do that for the most part here recently. Great. I love it. But I do want more. All right. It's like I'm happy. I'm pleased, but I'm not satisfied. And I don't think they are over there either. So I am just going to be really interested to see if there are any lessons learned from the past 2 years that they're going to carry over into building this roster for next season. I think they already have done some of that with the type of physicality and size that they're bringing in the backcourt with those freshmen. I think they identified pretty quick that they maybe weren't going to be as weight room strong and physical as some other teams. So we're already seeing that. Do they address it in the front court, and do they address it with adding just, it doesn't have to be crazy, man, but just a little bit more depth to give yourself some security in the event of what just happens in college basketball, which is a guy or two is going to be injured here and there. And you can't have it where one dude is out and another guy tweaks a hamstring, and you literally have to tell your team in the NCAA tournament, hey, don't foul, let them score, because we can't afford to lose any bodies because of foul trouble. That's crazy, man. It doesn't have to be that way. We'll see what they do here in the offseason.
Yeah, it's a weird balance, because you were saying yesterday, leading up to the game, we were like, man, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're excited, you know, you're playing a big game under the lights. It's a privilege to feel that way. I also think it's a privilege to lose a Sweet 16 game and have your season end in the second weekend and still feel like there's more for you to accomplish. The reason it hurts as bad as it does is because we could have seen the vision for this team going to the Final Four. We could have seen the vision for this team really being a threat to win the national championship. Obviously, in the end, they weren't that, and that sucks, and we're going to have to live with that. But that's part of why we're frustrated, is because we can already kind of see the pieces and see, all right, this program can get right back there. And, you know, as a fan, that's what motivates you to get right back to it. That's what's going to motivate us during portal season is, can you build on this roster? Can you make it a little bit better and have a little bit more backup and breathing room for yourself? And, you know, I think a lot of times when a season ends, I always get frustrated by the sentiment of the fan base that kind of goes with the, all right, well, you didn't win a championship, so it's like all for nothing. And so, you know, you had a good team, but like it was for nothing. You had Darius Acuff, but it was for nothing. And I just will never agree with that, because it's like, these are very real moments that happen. That's a very real journey. I mean, we traveled all over the West Coast. The three of us have, I mean, the fans, those things that you felt these last few weeks and really these last several months with this basketball team and this journey you went on, like, that was very real. It wasn't for nothing. It was for a Sweet 16 run. Now, did you accomplish the ultimate goal? No. And do you still want to do that? Yes. And I'm not telling fans, hey, you should just be happy and, you know, take your Sweet 16 and be good with that. But we don't have to lie and act like this wasn't a fun team. This wasn't a good team. And then we're not going to have really awesome memories with all these guys, especially those two freshmen who gave us an awesome 1 year in Arkansas. And so as we get further and further away, I think I'm going to be able to appreciate this season for what it was a lot more. But right now it stings. But like I said, it's kind of a good thing that we feel the way we do the day after losing the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, there's only going to be one team in every sport that is going to end, at least in college basketball, I should say specifically, because, you know, bowl games and whatnot. But seriously, it's like only one team's really going to end their season with a win, and that's the national champion. And, you know, there's going to be some teams, like I guarantee you, if Arizona lost to Purdue tomorrow, they're going to be in that same boat of just upset and bummed and everything. But to me, it's like this is year 2 under Cal, and you have gone 4-2 in the NCAA tournament. You've gone to back-to-back Sweet 16s, and it's a matter of, did you get better from year 1 to year 2? Now, it's kind of a weird thing because as we kind of, I don't know if we talked about it on the stream last night or maybe just amongst ourselves, but, you think about last year and how it ended. You had a 16-point lead against Texas Tech. We all know that, and how that felt worse than maybe what this was, because this one you didn't even have a chance. You ended the season at the same spot in the Sweet 16. But yet, let's just be very honest with ourselves. This season was better than last season. This season, you were a team that had some really great wins. You were a team that was the 3 seed in the SEC tournament that won the SEC tournament. You were one of the better teams in the SEC. We'll see how it all plays out, but it could have been one of those things. Not making excuses, it's what happens. But if you just played other teams besides Arizona, if you would have had a different 1 seed that you went up against, whatever it is, you could have gone further. It doesn't matter. The point is, are you improving? Is the direction going upward? And to me, there's no question about it. Or are you going to get for sure another Darius Acuff next year with one of these freshmen? It'd be really cool, but I don't think that's the expectation. But if you can't get the Darius Acuff, can you offset that maybe with getting an incredible big man out of the transfer portal, or a couple of them? Or as you said, Curtis, getting guys that where you're not sitting there in the NCAA tournament, be like, guys, the only way we can win this game is if you just don't foul because we don't have enough bodies. Can you do that? That to me is what I think is going to be the challenge and the interesting thing. But there's no doubt that it's about with Cal, because you have to we all know you have just a few years with him as head coach. Are you getting better? Are you in a better spot? Are you continuing to ascend, even though back-to-back years ended in the same spot? I think we can all agree that the program trajectory is getting better with John Calipari heading into year 3.
Yeah, there's zero doubt about it. That's for sure. I hope that they don't overcorrect, and maybe they did that just a little bit. I don't think it was an intentional deal, but I feel like they knew they needed to get a little bit more firepower and a little bit more versatile on offense after last year. And when you do that, sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of defense to get there. And it feels like they sacrificed way too much. And obviously the defense, is what really held Arkansas back this season. You can kind of see from the guys they have coming in that that's something that they're really focused on. Well, hopefully it's not a deal where all of a sudden Arkansas has a top 10 elite level defense next year, but then they can't score on anybody. I don't think that's going to be the case, but there's just something about finding that sweet spot, man, where you can do a little bit of everything, have the versatility, have the depth, have the options. I know I'm sure we'll talk about it here over the next hour and 15 minutes or whatever, but the guys that you can bring in or the guys that return, I'm all for the versatility, man. So give me all the wings, the ones coming in, the ones on the roster, go get one. I don't care. Let's give Arkansas a bunch of options to where no matter what type of style they play against, they can throw out a lineup there to match them. And I just think you got to have more than 7 or 8 guys to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because you look at Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas and those 2 freshmen and how good they were. And it's going to be hard for Arkansas to have a duo of freshmen as good as those guys are. And I'm sure some fans may look at that and say, well, wouldn't those 2 guys be very easy to build around? Well, the problem is you don't know how good those guys are in the offseason. This staff had a pretty decent idea. And you look at the way this roster was constructed, it definitely had those 2 guys taking a lot of shot creation opportunities and taking a lot of that shoulder, that weight on their shoulders. I think about these 3 freshmen that Arkansas has coming in, and, none of them will be as good as Darius Acuff. None of them will put up the numbers that those 2 guys, those 3 guys might not even average what those 2 guys average together. Like the statistics certainly won't be there. Production probably won't be there. But I do think in terms of a skill set, in terms of body type, those are 3 guys that are very easy to build around because there's a lot of versatility specifically on the defensive end. And so I don't think you have to sit there and try and play this guessing game of how good those guys are. They're all in the same kind of size, type, body range. They all can play multiple positions on offense and defense. And so you can kind of be flexible with you. It gives you a few options in the transfer portal where I think if you look at this past year's roster, I think this staff maybe undersold how much, hey, we've got these 2 really good freshmen, and specifically Darius Acuff is so good offensively. We have to have some perimeter defense to complement that. Not that Arkansas didn't have that at all, and having Carter Knox would have certainly helped. But I think when you look back at this past year's roster construct, you're 100% right in that they sacrificed some defense for the offense. It gave them a really good team. It gave them a good chance and gave them a chance to make a run. But I think this year's roster, I think we're hoping to see the program kind of take that next step. And, I was telling you last night that despite the fact that you have Sweet 16 and Sweet 16 year one and year two, I really do feel like the program built on what they did in year one, had a better team in year two, had a much more real chance to make a deep run despite what last night looked like compared to last year's Sweet 16 loss. Now you just got to hope that this program keeps building. You keep kind of learning from these different mistakes, how you call them, but you kind of keep learning from how your season ends the year before. We'll see what the roster looks like going into next year, but I think we all have a lot of optimism because the core group is kind of there.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things I know next season to where I'm hopeful that's not the case where sometimes it was done this year. It's like, man, just imagine if Jonas Adu was on this year's team instead of last year's team or last year's team because of what a difference it would make. And I'm sure that there'll be times where people are like, God, just imagine Darius Acuff was on this year's team and not last year's team. Like there's going to be elements of that, but I'm just hoping that it's not going to be one of those deals next season where it's like a big red flag constant thing, whether it's a big man or whether it's one of the guards or whatever it is, that you just look upon and be like, man, if only I want to have a year where it's not going to be one of those where it's just like, hey, this guy's great, this guy's great, this guy's great. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I'm just hoping that there's not going to be any of the roster management issues or the injuries or anything like that. You never really know because that's things like who would have guessed that Carter Knox was going to be out for the majority of the season and banged up. Like you just can't predict that, but it's about being prepared for it, because let's be honest, past 2 seasons under Cal, as great as they've been, there has been that lingering injury bug that's really could cause some problems. And whether it's getting just banged up or whether it's out for years, that's been an issue. And I know, again, you can't predict injuries or anything, but it's just a matter of can you get prepared for when those moments strike? You could argue that they could have done a lot more, or at least little things a little differently to be able to prepare for that.
And of course they can. And this, and don't get it misconstrued. I think Cal's done a great job since he's been here. I think he's silenced a lot of the doubters, and he's escaped a lot of the allegations that were out there about him when he came over here to Arkansas. But it hasn't been perfect, and it's everybody's own opinion. And he says that he can only pay 8 guys or whatever. I'm sorry, and he knows way more about the finances than I do, but I just don't believe that to be the case. Call me crazy, but I think when you're BFFs with John Tyson, you know what's going on. If you need to come up with an extra $500,000 or whatever to get another backup big man, you can do that. And if you're telling me that there are other teams out here in the SEC or throughout the country that can, have at least a backup at every position, but Arkansas can't, I just refuse to believe that. Them going into the season without a backup 4-man on this roster was a horrific idea. And having just Carter Knox, who could kind of fill that slot, knowing that he was also expected to be your starting wing and play and command a bunch of minutes there, that was a fundamental flaw in putting this roster together. I hope that they understand that now, and I hope that they rectify it moving forward. And maybe it's the same thing where they don't go out and get another backup 4-man, but they have like 10 wings, as we're kind of looking at with this roster, where at least if somebody goes down, you still have some flexibility. You still have a bench that you can turn to. I remember this time a year ago and, throughout the course of the summer when they put this thing together, it was like, man, this looks really, really good. I really like this 8, but boy, they could really use another 4-man. They could really use one more piece in there. And I got drug. And so I don't want to hear that shit in my ear for the next 6 weeks here, because I know it's coming and everybody's going to get mad and get defensive, but they have to go out and get some extra help. And if you don't believe that after 2 years, you're just not going to believe it, period. But that's something they just have to rectify, man.
Absolutely. And again, we comes back to what we think to be returning, and we'll see. We'll get some of those announcements here soon, I'm sure. And then with the freshmen that you have, that just gives you such a good starting spot to where I don't think, because I get it, the finances are a real thing, but it's not like Arkansas's list is that long for what they need in the transfer portal this year. And it all starts with the front court. And so I think it helps kind of going into it knowing, hey, that's what you're going to go out there and do. I mean, even last offseason, Arkansas went out and got 2 big men. And now we had our mixed results. We had our varied situations there. Did they need a third? Absolutely. But it's like if Arkansas goes out and gets 2 legitimate front court pieces, right away, Arkansas would be in a pretty good spot. Now, they wouldn't be done. They would still need to kind of complement and still get some of those depth pieces. But like, if Arkansas were able to do that right away, one, that shouldn't cost your entire roster budget. And I'm sure there's going to be some returning guys that maybe get a little bit of a bag, especially if it's someone like a Billy and Carter. I'm sure those guys aren't going to come back for free. But even if we are kind of playing, the salary cap game here, I'm with you. I don't really see how getting 3 or 4 pieces out of the transfer portal is like this undoable of a thing. And you kind of add that in with what you got. And I think you've got a nice starting spot. But my fear though, Curtis, is that the roster versatility, because I love having those guys that are 6'6", 6'7", because they can kind of play the 2, 3, or 4. I wonder if Cal is going to use the extra wings that he's going to have and that extra kind of versatility that he has. He's probably going to use that as his excuse to not go get a backup 4.
I think that you're probably right there, which in that case, if you go get a starting 4 and you get a starting big and you bring Ewan back, because here's what he's not going to do. I really don't see him going and getting out of the portal 2 legitimate, real deal big men and a starting 4. I don't think he's going to do that. And then also for the people who are like, man, you got to pay to get Malik Thomas back. He can go be a lottery pick next year. I understand all that. We talked about it a million times. There are pros and cons to both sides. But what I do know is that would cost you a ton of money. So what do you want more? Do you want Malik Thomas back, or do you want the bona fide star big man and some serious depth behind him? Because you're not going to be able to get all those things, especially if he's talking about how he can't pay more than 8 players to be on his SEC roster. So like, there's got to be a little bit of give and take there for sure. But I am kind of with you. And I also think, and I talked about this on the pod this morning, listen to that, by the way, if you can, but I think the pathway to Arkansas having some more bodies next year, they're going to have to go get some front court pieces no matter what, right? Like, they have to go get that out of the portal. There's nothing you can do about it. Ewan is the only one who might have the ability to come back. But you can get it through retention, because you got these 3 guys coming back. If you get all these dudes who could potentially come back, if it's DJ and Carter and Billy and Sealy and Ewan or whatever, that's how you run your numbers up, because they're going to have to go get a couple bigs anyway. I think that's the pathway for Arkansas to having like 10 playable bodies, more so than if some of these guys move on, say they bring back Billy or Carter, and maybe they bring back DJ or Sealy or something like that. And then he's going to go get his 2, maybe 3 guys out of the portal. And we're going to be looking at the same thing going, well, they've got 8, but then there's Isaiah who could be a 9th. Or what about the Paolo Samito guy? Love those guys, but that's not what I'm looking for. If you're really trying to take this thing up another notch, you got to get serious about the depth.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Absolutely. And we'll get to some of your chats, folks, and we'll continue our discussion here on the show. Really appreciate everybody. But I want to remind everybody that this coverage of the NCAA tournament is not possible without all of our great partners, but especially our title sponsor of Bet Saracen. Really appreciate them always partnering with us here at Inside Arkansas. Best sports wagering app in the state of Arkansas, and it's not even close. And the reason being is because they are always going to be Arkansas first. That's the biggest key. And I know that even though the Razorback basketball season has come to an end, you'll be able to get some of those future bets here soon. You'll be able to still bet on the NCAA tournament. You'll still be able to bet on Razorback baseball coming up and Razorback football over-unders, which that should be interesting. But either way, you're still going to have it, still can do it, still make it happen, still win a lot of money with Bet Saracen. So click the link in the description below, or you can scan that QR code right there on your screen. You can download the Bet Saracen app. When you download it, be sure to use that code InsideAR250. That's InsideAR250, because when you bet with Bet Saracen using that code, you can bet $25 and get $250. That's free money right there whenever you use the Bet Saracen app. So again, click the link in the description below, scan that QR code, hit that InsideAR250 for your promo code, where you can bet $25, get $250. That's with Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports wagering app. I know I have some things to get into, but I wanted to bring up this chat right here. There's a super chat. Really appreciated from Smelliot, which he didn't have to do. But, it's just like something to kind of just lighten the mood, as he says. But some of the bright movies, like, we found out that our 15-month-old son is in remission after his first round of treatment for leukemia. His best chance of a long-term cure is a bone marrow transplant. Life is precious. Tell someone you love them today, WPS.
Well, we should be donating to you.
I'm about to say, I don't know why you're giving us the money, but seriously though, Smelliot, it's like you're one of the guys one of the many of our loyal listeners, and people that have been around a long time, and that's great to hear. I can't imagine going through that, but that's, it's just a good reminder that frustrations, all that stuff with Razorback sports is nothing compared to what real life things could be. But it's good to see that he is in remission. Hopefully he continues to be on the path of healing, and just, I can't imagine what you've gone through in your family. So prayers and thoughts to your family and the continued recovery of your 15-month-old son, man. That's awesome.
100%. I couldn't imagine what you're going through. Happy to hear about some positive news there, and keep fighting the good fight. And we appreciate the support for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. So
can I pull one up real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to. Patrick Yankee says, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, Curtis. I think you're listening out of one side of your head. He says, you say that Cal won't get more than 8 players, but then say that Cal needs some retention and hit the portal to get to 10 players. Yes, I am telling you what John Calipari has directly said over and over and over and over again that he is going to do, and why he says he's going to do it. I'm telling you what he should do. I think that's pretty clear right here. Like, Cal has been very, very upfront about, I want 8 guys. I don't want more than that. I can't afford to pay more than that. I think I've said like 3 times on this show already that I don't believe that at all. But my point is, if you really want to find a pathway for him to have more, what we know Cal's not going to do is go out in the transfer portal and get 5 transfers. Yeah. He's just not going to do that. There's no pathway to that happening. 0 chance. I don't give a damn whose sources tell you that they're doing this or that or the other. It ain't happening. Cal's not taking that route. The only could happen. What I'm saying is, you have to get your bigs out of the portal. Malik Ewan is the only one that Arkansas could potentially even bring back, and even that we're not even sure about. So he has no choice but to go make additions from the outside of the program at the 5 and at the 4. So that's 2 or 3 guys right there. He's not going to go add, guards out of the portal or wings out of the portal in addition to that. So the only way, in my opinion, if you want more legitimate depth that you can use, is to get a bunch of retention, because I don't think he's going to run a bunch of guys out of the program. So if a bunch of these dudes who could return say, hey, I'm coming back, then all of a sudden you got your 3 players who are coming in the freshman class. And then let's say you have 4 of these guys who return. That's 7. Well, he still has no choice. You can't play without a center. You're going to have to go get a couple of these guys, and that's how you get to 9 or 10 players. That's what I'm saying right there. You just weren't hearing me.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of that going around these times too, for that too. But to the point of, like, you were bringing up with the retention, that's something that I feel like it almost gets lost, because it's like everybody wants the shiny new things. Like, everybody wants, all right, well, what's the portal? Who we getting? Let's just get rid of the whole team. Some people just kind of feel like, oh, this returning of Billy Richmond is fine and whatever, but who we getting out of the portal? I feel like, at least with Cal, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of his best teams always had that retention of those players that may not have been the superstars of the team, but like the Harrison twins on that. I know they lost in the Final Four, but that team that went undefeated until the Final Four was one of his best teams. Pretty sure the Harrison twins were on that. Like Willie Cauley-Stein was on that. Are those bad players? No, they're good players, but they were guys that have been in the program for a long time. And then they added some of those big time freshmen. So it's like, I understand that there's, a really big thing about, getting the big man, getting this, getting that. It's great, but retention is extremely important. In fact, maybe just a little undervalued sometimes making sure you get a Carter Knox, making sure you get a Billy Richmond, getting all these guys back. Doesn't mean that, if you get Billy back, he's going to go from, whatever he averaged this year, like 11 points a game to 18 points a game. It'd be cool. But sometimes it's just about having people in the program, having familiarity and having that expectation and continuing to grow, which is why I trust Cal, at least in that regard, to make sure that the players he is working on to retain are ones that are actually going to help out the program in general.
For sure. And having a culture and a foundation that's already in place, and guys who understand the expectations, I think is really important. Maybe that was one thing during his time at Kentucky that they were missing. Like, the talent was always there, obviously, year in and year out. He was getting all the 5-stars and the Burger Boys and the one and dones and everything, but it was almost like a complete roster flip every year. I know he had some guys back from time to time, and you mentioned some of it there, but I do think, and it can't just be one guy or whatever, but if you have 3 or 4 dudes who are contributing, who have contributed, and who are expected to in that rotation, who've been in the program for a while, and you're supplementing with that goes a long way towards playing better basketball earlier. We talked so much throughout the offseason when they had these 4 guys coming back, how, it's the most returning production in the SEC, and Cal was saying, well, we're ahead of schedule. And it turns out it kind of took them a little while to figure some things out anyway. But I do think the continuity aspect is important. I think obviously, retaining a guy like a Malik Thomas or something would be, that's a game changer. That's the type of thing that takes you from, man, this is going to be a really, really good Arkansas team again to, oh, wow, this is a championship contender type of team. But at any rate, like having a guy like a Billy Richmond and a Carter and a DJ, people who've been there and done that back, even if it's just in a role and you bring in other stars around them or something, that's super, super valuable. And I don't think you can have enough of it, honestly.
Real quick, do you think would we be okay as a community if they overcorrected a little bit? We mentioned how they overcorrected on the offensive and defensive ends a little bit last offseason. You think about it. If DJ Wagner comes back, you got Jordan Smith Jr., who's most likely going to be starting in that backcourt for you as a freshman. And, of course, we think he's a high-level dude. But outside of that, I mean, you got Billy Richmond, not exactly a ton of ball handling creation on this team, not a ton of actual guard play. Would we be okay with that if it meant you get Malik Ewan back and you get 2 or 3 more of those front court pieces and you feel very good about what you have in the front court, you feel good about what you have on the wing, and you've got all the size and versatility? Would we be cool with that if it means, okay, you don't have a ton of ball handling in the backcourt? Because I think that's really, we're not just going to get a perfect roster. We know that. And you know what I mean?
I was going to say, I would like to have both, but I understand 100% where you're coming from.
Because I think it's realistic too. Because like you said, he's not going to add 5 transfers. So if it is DJ and you get those, you get all those 4 returners back, you have your 3 freshmen, I think they're probably going to add 2 to 3 transfers. Mm-hmm. I think 2 at least would be in the front court, maybe even a third. Maybe you just get some, backup point guard that can come in and play 10 minutes for you. But I think in reality, what would actually happen is they would lean on DJ and Jordan Smith Jr. to just kind of be the ball handlers.
I think so, which I honestly don't hate. What I would do in that scenario, let's say if you're going to add 3 transfers, is I would spend most of my money on a monster, the starting center, and then I would get as competent, as strong of a backup as I possibly could for him, who could have some physicality and some rebounding. Maybe you retain Ewan, maybe you don't, I don't know. And then I would spend the third on just a knockdown shooter somewhere, whether it's a wing or a 4 or whatever, just having that. And then I would commit to small ball. I think that's what I do at that point. If you have all those wings in there and it's going to be a good defensive team, then if that means, Carter is my 4 and maybe sometimes you're going 4 guard with Billy or, Abdu Toure, who's a big athletic physical kid, but you had some monster in there in the paint to protect everything, then maybe that's the route that they go. I'm going to be really interested to see, because I do think there's like a half dozen different models in which they could construct this that would be really, really intriguing to me.
Now, I don't want to set the expectations too high, but every now and then you do see big men that can shoot, and even some big men who can create some plays for you. You can run offense through them. I mean, someone like Yaxel, now he was the number 1 guy in the portal. I don't know if there's going to be a guy like that, but I mean, you kind of think about it. You're like, oh, we want to supplement our front court, but we want to also have ball handling and shooting. Well, someone like that checks all those boxes. And so we talk about getting a monster at the 5. I would really love for it to be a guy who you're not like sacrificing shooting and sacrificing playmaking just to bring in a big oaf.
Yeah, and I know we'll get to some of your chats too, folks, but I saw some Razorback fans that were either tweeting or whatever, but they were just like, man, I miss having a big man, or I wish we could get a big dominant man. And it's like, I think that's maybe why Razorback fans are so, I don't even call it obsessed, because it's not a bad thing to have, obviously, but it's like it just has been a long time since you've had a type of a dominant force down low. And I think Razorback fans are just kind of almost like wanting to see what that's like. For a long time, it was the point guard position. Like, hey, they need a point guard. They need a true. Well, you got a point guard this year, and Darius Acuff, and it was really great. And so, what is that going to look like with a big man? And I think maybe part of it too is a lot of those teams that Cal had at Kentucky. Hate to bring it up, but they had some pretty dominant big man. So maybe that's something that the Arkansas can have, and how it can be a difference maker. But as you said, Andrew, there's no such thing as a perfect roster. It could be one of those things where, hey, you finally got that dominant big man, but this point guard, or you got that great point guard and big man, but man, they have no wings or no defense. Like, there's always going to be something that's about a team that may be imperfect, but it's just a matter of, as they all say, just putting it together as the season goes on, playing your best basketball at the right time, and then being able. I want to be the team that everyone's looking at that matchup is like, that's a bad matchup for us no matter what. Like, that's the team I want to look forward to. Is we're not like where you're looking at the draw next year in the NCAA tournament and you're Arkansas, you're like, golly, man, what this team, okay, yeah, this, but when we face this team, I don't like that. Let's hope somebody pops them beforehand. I want to be that team. I want to know what that feels like, where everyone looks at you, just be like, jeez, no matter what we do, we just don't have the horses to go up against those guys. Easier said than done, but I think Cal and roster management, all that, I think they're perfectly capable of making that happen.
Yeah, no, I do too. And by the way, Tyron Stokes is not coming to Arkansas. I don't.
Why
I don't,
not?
I don't know where all this is coming from. I don't know why it keeps getting brought up, but that's not a thing.
Duped by the not Rothstein account. That's what happened here,
Oh.
and nobody wants to admit it. That's what happened to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, the dupage out there is always really tough to deal with. That's for sure. So we'll get to some of your chats. Really appreciate everybody tuning in here on Inside Arkansas Live and our final Inside Arkansas Live show from San Jose. But want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hull Law is going to have you covered for all of your legal needs. It doesn't matter if it's divorce, custody, criminal cases, civil litigation cases, personal injury, estate planning, all of those things. They have you covered. And legal advice and representation is extremely important because you never want to do it by yourself. You may think that you can just go on the old Google machine and type in, hey, I'm going through a divorce case. What do I need to have done? And you're just going to trust AI and the Google searches or Grok or whatever it's called. You're going to say, hey, yeah, let's do this. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. This is just as great as anything. No, you can't do that. You got to be able to get the professionals, get people that are truly going to help you out. And that's what Hickey and Hull Law is going to have you taken care of. So be sure to call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. So, we'll continue to discuss this as well as getting some other things too, because there's a clip I want to play from Cal's press conference. It's got a lot of people up in arms a little bit, but we'll play that. But again, really appreciate all the super chats too. Shout out to Priestley Pig in Florida. Really appreciate it, Priestley Pig. He says, hey guys, I just want to thank you for the great coverage. It's hard feeling connected, living 1,200 miles from home, Arkadelphia, go Badgers. I have thoroughly enjoyed every minute with you three. Enjoy some moon pies on me, the ultimate travel food, PAX.
I know that man Andrew would enjoy some moon pies.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. If he spots one in the gas station, it's over with.
Dude, I haven't had a moon pie since the Bush administration. I mean, dead serious. But I have had, I've
had moon pies before.
We can use that super chat to get a lot of things. It can be Star Crunch. I mean, it could be cosmic brownies. It could be honey buns.
I don't know if this is a story with you guys or with somebody else. Did we have banana moon pies at one point, like in the old office?
It wouldn't surprise me. I try to block a lot of that out of my memory.
My wife, I stumbled on one of those. I had a banana moon pie not too long ago, and I was like, this is not a good thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like getting like chocolate Skittles. You're like, what? No, I don't want a chocolate Skittle. What's a chocolate Skittle?
Yeah,
you
it doesn't
make
make
an M?
sense.
Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
No,
So
I'm with you. Thank you
I
for
had
that,
a
by the
joke
way.
queued up about oatmeal cream pies that I'm not going to tell.
thank you.
Yeah, don't
thank
tell
you. I
Yes,
appreciate
credit
that.
to you, man. You have matured so much.
Come a long way from that. But no, we appreciate you, Priestley Pig. And to your point about feeling connected, how many people, guys, have we heard say that to us, on these trips and everything? And that's what honestly means so much to all. Like, we love all of our audience. We love all of you in the state of Arkansas that tune in and come to our shows at Alumni Hall or at Blue Ember or wherever. Like, we love all of you. So we don't want to make it sound like we love one kid more than the other. But it is just so awesome and humbling for us to go out and be able to meet Razorback fans that say, hey, you guys make me feel connected with the Razorback fan base and the program, even though I live so far away. Like, that's just such a cool thing. And that's one of the many, but one of the big reasons why we do what we do. It's awesome.
No, I really appreciate that. For the longest, I enjoyed just when we would meet people out in the wild and they'd tell us what their introduce themselves by their YouTube handle, and we're like, oh, okay, that was really cool. But we've heard so much of that from people who are not in the state of Arkansas anymore, who want to feel connected. I know how that feels, man, because when I got out of college, I was living in St. Louis and working there, and I felt super disconnected from everything that was going on with the Razorbacks, which I grew up loving. Like, that was the only thing that I cared about. And so that was real challenging. So I was listening to this stupid SEC country podcast, like whenever I could.
There's some good stuff on there.
To keep myself up to date with everything that was going on. And that dude bailed and he was doing something else. And so I was trying to listen to that. I was listening to the old, what was it, the basketball pod of Mid-America when Scotty was doing it with whoever he was with before. But that was like back in the day when I was in St. Louis. Hell, I even tuned into Bo Mattingly once or twice, just try to figure out what was going on. So I think what we're doing here is, I think it's really cool. There's a reason why we're doing it the way that we are. We think it's unique. We like to be as engaging and interactive as possible. And we love all you guys. And we do feel like it's kind of one big family. And that's why we yell at you sometimes and you yell at us sometimes. But I think it's a cool thing that we have going here. And so I appreciate when people say that stuff to us.
It's my favorite compliment that we receive. Of all the ways to compliment us and give us money, that's my favorite for sure. And I think all three of us, we've spent, John grew up in Fayetteville, but when he was living in Little Rock, every day he was like, damn, I wish I was in Fayetteville. When I was growing up in Louisiana, every day I was like, damn, I wish I was in Fayetteville. When you're in St. Louis, you're just kind of always wanting to be there and be in the mix. And so I think it's kind of prepared us well for that. And by the way, Arkadelphia, he mentioned Arkadelphia in there. I will almost certainly be in Arkadelphia next week to celebrate Easter, which, I was planning on not being in Arkadelphia next week, but, things happen, and now I will be.
Yeah, no, and it is a cool thing too. Of like, I love the fact that we go where the fans go. It's like we're not, if we go to a Razorback baseball game, we're not sitting up there with the elites, in their ivory towers all the time, and in the press box. Yeah, it's like we like to be out in the concourse.
Unless you have a suite for us, we
would take it. We'd venture down for some peanuts or something, but we'd but still, like, we like being with the fans, and that's why we do shows and do things like here, because could we easily talk about the game and react to it by watching it on TV? Sure. Yeah, we could, but we don't, because it wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as being able to have the interactions and the behind the scenes and going into the locker room like last night and hearing from the players and stuff. It's like we want to be able to provide the best coverage while also being with y'all in the trenches for everything. So this is just one of the examples, and hopefully the Hogs go to Omaha this year. It'd be really cool if they did. So let's say we could do that again. Maybe football one day we'll get back to not going to the Liberty Bowl every year. So that'd be nice.
By the way, your excuses have run out, and it's time to get tuned back in with the bombastic. There's a full,
no more excuses.
Full Florida preview out that everybody needs to be on before first pitch here today.
And by the way, shout out to Cameron.
Shout out to
Cameron.
Listen, and I gave Cameron no criteria. I was like, listen, you can go 2 minutes, you can go 90 seconds, you can go an hour, you can do whatever you want. Just do your thing. Cook. And cook is what he did. And good for Cameron, man, getting those reps up there. Go listen to what he had to say. I had some initial thoughts before as well. And so we're getting you ready for the Florida series, and we're gonna recap it here tonight. And just in time, I'm actually a little bit worried about this series, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not super confident. So I'm worried the timing is going to be horrible, that as soon as everyone starts paying attention to baseball, they drop a series at home to Florida, and then they're going on the road at Auburn. That's going to be a tough one. It's like,
Have you let Daniel Shee infiltrate your mind?
No.
Okay.
Daniel Shee is he picks teams that he just like rides for no matter what. He loved A&M a couple years ago. He loves Florida this year. He loves Kevin O'Sullivan. He's like, I know he's a jerk, but he's a great coach. I'm like, shut up, Daniel. Yeah. Like, seriously, like, just shut up.
Yeah. I'll just real quick. First off, like with intern Cameron, whenever I have just a still picture of him, it's just always going to be him with the thumbs up, because he just pops into the studio when we're talking about hey, okay, can you hear us, Cameron?
Yeah.
He just does a little thumbs up. So
I really feel like I could tell Cameron, I'm like, hey, I need you to solve world hunger. And he might not be able to do it, but he'd be like, okay.
Yeah,
he'd try.
I'll give it a shot.
Effort.
He'd give it a whirl. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's all. Yeah, see, there he is. Thumbs up. Nobody could see it, but he once again pops into the studio and gives us the little thumbs up. So, yeah. Shout out to Cameron, man. Always cooking with us. And he's on spring break this week, and he's been on all of our live streams instead of going to, PCB, and partying up. He's just decided to hang out with us. So we really appreciate that. Some other super chats. Really appreciate all these and everything, folks. This comes from Washburn Idol. Our guy says, good vibes today, boys. Can't replace A-Cuff, and I'll miss the best Hog athlete I've been able to watch in my lifetime. But how nice is it to have a star-studded freshman class to look forward to now that the season is over?
Yes, 100%. And by the way, I want to get to the one that was right above that as soon as we can, because I just want to squash that real quick. But yes, and I want to take this opportunity real fast to introduce you guys to Jordan Smith Jr. Because no, you cannot replace A-Cuff. And the problem with here's why I hate Darius A-Cuff. Okay, I'm kidding, but he was so good that people are going to have this expectation now of when Arkansas brings in freshmen like this. It's like, oh, well, he's going to do what Acuff did, right? No, that's not the case, man. He was special. What does Cal always say? He's otherworldly. That's how that man played the entire season. Maybe you get some guys who play more like Malik Thomas, who is also fantastic, but we can't set that as the standard for the freshmen who come in because it's just so hard to do. But what I'll say about Jordan Smith Jr., for all the reasons why Razorback fans love Billy Richmond, you will fall in love with Jordan Smith Jr. He's an absolute dog. He's the ultimate competitor. I said this last night on the show, but one of my favorite high school players to have watched. And all the time that I've been doing this, from the time I was coaching to when I was scouting to when I've been covering the guys who Arkansas has been recruiting, the dude's an absolute animal. And he's built like, an NFL running back already. He's only 6'2", but he's got like a 6'9" to 6'10" wingspan. He's a dog on the defensive end. He'll pick you up 94 feet. He'll defend in the post. He does a little bit of everything, and he's an absolute animal. And his, Cal always talks about a will to win and a competitive spirit, and this dude has it at a level that you don't see many freshmen with. There's a reason why he's a top-ranked guard in his class. He's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. He's going to do it on both ends of the floor. So you might not get 25 points per game, and he might not lead the SEC in assists, but his impact on winning is going to be felt in a big way right away. And I hope everybody gets very, very excited about what they have coming in Jordan Smith Jr. He's the man.
Well, my nips are hard. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. Cutting diamonds over here. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. So that's a lot of these super chats. Really appreciate it, folks. John Pigman, the 4th, says, great season. Got to gear up for the offseason and come back stronger. Positive stream, #trust Cal, #trust Curtis.
There's only 2 people in life you need to trust.
And you even got the capitalization. Cal just got the capital C. You got the full name.
That's because there are levels to this.
Because that's what he said. He typed it how you say it.
Yeah, Curtis.
Yeah. By the way, John Pigman was up at like 4:30 a.m.
I don't think he sleeps.
Because I was. I mean, it's we were up late till like 2 a.m. on the West Coast, and he was liking tweets, and I'm like, dude, it's 4 p.m. Central. What are you doing? Yeah.
By the way, also real quick, this doesn't matter to anybody. I'm so excited to be back on Central Standard Time. Like, it's going to take some time, but dude, scheduling podcasts and like, man, like it just throws you in a loop. I'm tired of coming up. No offense, doing Inside Arkansas Live at 10 a.m. No, I want to let's get back to our noon time and make, because it just throws you out of your loop. So I'll be excited to get back to it. I applaud
anybody who moves to the West Coast and stays tapped in with our content and Inside Arkansas or just Arkansas sports in general or any sports. The West Coast is a region not built for sports. You should not have games on at 4 p.m. when you are literally not even off work yet. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. So that's why Mrs. Dan's van. She's always with us. So and others too. So Derek Tips, appreciate Super Checos. Thank you so much. Or thank you guys so much for your hard work the last few sports seasons. You're a bright spot most every day. I'll always be listening. Woo pig. Thank you, Derek.
We appreciate you too, Derek. Yeah, he's been good to it. The Montanite.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, again, we got to figure. Maybe that's what we'll do in the summer. We got to just get a map. I'm going to put a map on a wall that I have because I don't have things hanging up because I don't know how to decorate. And I'm just going to start having all those little pins and being like, hey, okay, who's living here? And just kind of keep access. See if we can cover all 50 states. I bet you we can.
I bet we could. And I bet it wouldn't take that long either.
No.
We've got a lot of the weird ones out of the way. I mean, we've got Alaska. We've got that covered.
We need like a
Montana.
Yeah, but honestly, the weird ones would be like New Hampshire, like Vermont.
There's got to be a New Hampshire.
There's got to be something there.
We have heard Vermont.
Yeah, it's like something there, A
lot of PA. I
feel like we had Rhode Island actually now that we, touched boots down there.
Yeah, now that we've put our seed there.
Yeah. Yes, that too. Let's see. John Sullivan, appreciate Super Chat, goes, maybe Ewan's waiver could trick the system, get 3 portal front court guys and get the waiver approved
late. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about right here.
You have to trick Cal. You have to trick Cal by being like, oh, you're not getting Malik Ewan back. And he goes out and gets bigs and then Malik Ewan's coming back.
That's creative thinking. I like it.
Yeah. Joffre says, good year and a team I'll always love. That being said, anxious, excited for the portal. Also, the Stokes and Arkansas smoke seems to be real.
Yeah, that was before we talked about it. That's just not a.
He put up another super chat. Says, getting duped about Stokes is not my fault. Yes. Everything on the internet is true. Also, moon pie or fudge round.
I fancy a fudge round, man.
I like fudge rounds more than moon pies, frankly.
I like them more than moon pies. Now, I saw Kingsley shortly after that. Now, would it be fudge round or Star Crunch?
I'd go Star Crunch. I'm a caramel guy. So anything with caramel I'm into, and like I like the crunch.
Star Crunch is good. Star Crunch or Cosmic Brownie.
Ooh, Cosmic Brownie. That's an OG. That's a classic.
I'm a big Cosmic Brownie guy. John,
Keep
you
it
a Cosmic
rolling,
Brownie guy?
keep it rolling,
Okay,
Curtis.
I'm just gonna tell you, I have never had a moon pie before. I've never had a Star Crunch before. I've never had the Cosmic Brownie before. I've never had
What are
these
you,
things
6?
before. I'm just saying, I just
Oh
never
my
had them before.
gosh.
Dude, you need when we get home, I'm not even joking. You need to go to that Little Debbie store that's in, is it Tawny Town or is it
They
like
actually have a Little Debbie store.
Yeah, there's a Little Debbie store in Northwest Arkansas. I think it might be like where Springdale turns into Tawny Town a little bit. Go to that store, and I'm being dead serious. Or just go to Walmart and go to the Little Debbie aisle. But like, get you a Cosmic Brownie, get you a Star Crunch, because like these are classics right here.
People want to know what happened in your childhood, John.
I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah.
He was a heavier set child who was probably shamed, and so he probably stopped eating sweets at a certain point.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
Because let me tell you something, folks. When you're a fat child, it's not ever a good look when you're already getting a little bit of a, not to say call it bullied, but just a little. You get a lot of crap for being fat. There's nothing worse than being the kid that's like you're already fat, and then you're sitting there and you're just housing Little Debbie's every single day. So like that's just it's a tough scene and a tough look. So
See, I was the opposite. I was not fat as a kid, and I got fat as an adult. So it's like now you see my diet now. It's like that was built by a young, skinny kid.
Have you just not done like zebra cakes?
I've had a zebra cake.
Okay.
I've had zebra cake, like the Twinkie, the ding dongs. Like I've had like some of the
In my
basics.
household,
but-
dead serious, we always get the seasonal brownies or cakes. Like
Yeah.
in Christmas, they have the little
The trees. Yeah.
In Easter, they have the little eggs, and Valentine's, they have the little hearts. We always have those little Debbies just on deck in the Ellis household.
Yeah. Well, that's things like, not to go too much on food, but it's like the Oreos, which I know have been here in this household over here. It's like those were the ones that I would like always go to if that was the case. But also another thing too, you guys know my buddy.
Cinnamon swirls. Y'all know about that? The little cinnamon, pecan cinnamon swirls.
Yeah.
Those are good too.
See, I've always seen them, but I just haven't had any. I guess I gotta get fat again and educate myself. Let's see. Other super chats is coming in from Aaron. He says, "I already miss Trevin's dunks."
Well, the good news is there's 9 minutes worth of them on Twitter.
Yes,
So
that is good. It is also kind of. I mean, obviously, last night was not a. I wouldn't say it was a banner Trevin Brazil game by any stretch.
No.
And it sucks that he's going out that way, but I do think it's kind of fitting that Trevin goes out with a weird game, but even in that weird game, he gives us a crazy highlight dunk.
Yeah.
All 3 of Arkansas's bigs had ridiculous dunks.
Yeah. Ewan's was the best, I think.
It was.
Dude,
yeah.
That's why I even tweeted. I was like, man, if those putback dunks were like worth like 5 points or whatever, Arkansas probably would lead.
Who would have thought Arkansas's best offense against Arizona would come on the offensive glass?
Yeah.
Go figure,
Yeah,
man.
seriously. Our guy Brandon says, I will only refer to this team as SEC champs.
I respect that.
Yep.
Yeah. And going into next year, we will be defending our SEC crown.
That's right. That's right. Aaron also says, this was my favorite team I've ever watched.
They were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they they were very frustrating at times because of some of the defensive stuff there, and it took them a while to figure things out on the road. But man, when you score the way that they did, and you lead the country in dunks, you make a bunch of threes. I mean, it's very rare that you have a team that leads the country in dunks and then is top 10 in 3-point percentage.
True.
That's pretty cool. And so that's going to be a hard bar for them to cross next year. But I'm with you, man. I had a lot of fun with this team. Some of those Eric Musselman teams that were really, really good too were a tough watch.
Not fun.
Yes.
Because they would go on like 6-minute scoring droughts and they were winning games in the 60s or whatever. And you're just like, goodness gracious, man, this is clunky out here. I'm glad they had 35 FTAs tonight, but this team played fast. They got up and down. They played above the rim. They shot threes. It was a heck of a lot of fun to watch them for sure.
Yeah. And it is crazy. Not that it's any surprise now, but like the fact that Darius Acuff did what he did, and then he shot, what would he end up with? 44.5% from 3. I mean, like that's insanity to have, like during the Mush years, no offense, but it was like, just felt like if you had a player that was 38% from 3, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's incredible. But just shows the consistency that he had as well. Washburn Idol, appreciate Super Chat, goes, I want to be the bully next year.
Me too.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, me too.
Would be cool. I feel like Arkansas hasn't had a plethora of bigs since like the Darian Towns, Charles Thomas, Stephen Hill days.
Really, since they had that class with Portis and Kingsley, and you had those guys for a couple of years.
Yeah, those guys, and then throwing Alandis Harris and some others too. So yeah, it's been a bit though. It's been a bit. Sydney Sweeney's Hammers. Come on. Stokes watch. Yeah, we kind of already addressed
Hammers.
that. Yeah. And I wonder what that refers to. Jeez. But also fun season. Excited to do it again and more next year.
There we go.
So
There we go.
SSH.
I feel like a lot of these Razorback fans are starting to understand. It's like, hey, listen, it sucked. It wasn't fun in the way that it went last night, but bright stuff ahead on the horizon for the Razorback basketball team.
Yeah,
I'm excited for portal season, Curse. I know you are. I know it's going to be fun to see what this full roster looks like at the end of the day. And then I can't wait for when it gets closer. SEC Basketball Media Days comes up, and depending on what the other SEC teams do, like Arkansas, I would go out and venture that they'll probably be picked in the top 5. As far as predicted order of finish. Can't wait to see what the non-conference schedule. We're gonna have some banger games again. We're gonna play some games in Chicago or in Kansas City or in Dallas. We're gonna have we got Michigan State coming to town, so there's that. So it'll be fun.
Oh, Michigan State's getting their booty cheeks clapped.
I'm glad that you brought that up just now, because I think that's the only game that we know about.
I think so, yeah.
Which last year we already knew about several of these showcase games that were coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like the only thing we know is he's not going to take the team to Maui and stuff like that. But they're definitely going to have some big time games there. But I also wonder, what's that balance going to look like? Because he scheduled really aggressively this year. And like he said, you schedule to your team. Well, I guess we'll find out how confident he feels about the group that he's got coming in. But at the same time, do you do it the way that you did? Because then you kind of run the risk of you need to win your fair share of those games. We know they'll go on the road for the ACC Challenge next year against whoever. But do you do that? And I think he will, because he likes those showcase games. Or do you take the Vanderbilt route and like you play some power conference teams or whatever, but you play them on neutrals, and it's going to be an easy little quad one, or you go on the road and play a bum high major team and pick up those easy wins. It seemed to be a good formula for some of those teams that became computer trickers throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I would go ahead and venture that. Yeah, he's for sure. There's going to be a game in Dallas. I feel like that's just the one that's going to happen. But yeah, I'll be curious, and if there'll be some games, I'm sure they'll have some good Razorback showings. Who knows? Maybe they go back to the Northeast. Maybe they go back to New York City. A lot of options out there for Cal and this team going into next season. Oh, look at this! Another great super chat. Appreciate you, Trip Conley. Thank you so much. Just wanted to shout out Malik Thomas. Dude had to answer a lot of questions about how good Acuff was, but he was special too. He deserves his flowers. Was fun seeing a shooter like him in Arkansas. It seems like we never get a dude like him. And I want to echo this, because I know I talked about it, and we talked about it on last night's Palace post-game show. But like Malik Thomas, regardless of his future, I don't think he's coming back. I'm just saying, like, whatever he ends up doing, like, it was awesome. Every step of the way, kind of, because he was the man on every team he's ever played on in his life. He's the man. And he comes in here alongside Darius Acuff, and not once did you ever get a sense of jealousy or like they played so well together. Loved it. It was almost like he was the Felix Jones to the Darren McFadden. Maybe didn't get as much love and credit as maybe he would have if he didn't have Darius Acuff on the same team, but handled everything with class and was great with the media, thankful, appreciative, great with the fans. Like, Malik Thomas deserves every single bit of his flowers and more. And I love this team. I wish everybody the best, but Malik Thomas, again, because he kind of had a little attitude when he comes in. You see his videos of like, you ain't got no offers to the schools that I got, like stuff like that. You're like, all right, is this guy going to be kind of a jerk? Could not be further from the truth. A very confident guy in his own abilities, but extremely humble and extremely awesome to deal with as far as everything else goes.
Yeah, that dude is legit, man. And he really had a phenomenal season. He averaged almost 16 points per game. He shot 41% from three. He made 82 threes on the season. He was almost 85% at the free throw line. He had 4 rebounds a game and a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And he led the team with 57 steals. Like, this dude did a little bit of everything. And we knew that he was going to be kind of a, maybe like a microwave type scorer, but he was far less streaky from three than I thought he was going to be. Just turns out that he's just actually a sniper. Wound up being better off the dribble and finishing in the paint and around the rim than I thought he would. Wound up being more impactful, way more impactful defensively than I thought he would. I thought that he was going to be a guy who would make a bunch of, take a bunch of risk and probably have some turnovers that just really drive you crazy. But he was so good with the basketball out there. He was better in almost every way than I thought he was going to be. And I was really high on Malik Thomas coming into the year. That kid is special, man. And there's nothing I would love more than to have him back for another year. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm also content with the way it played out in terms of he came to Arkansas planning to play 1 year. He played 1 year. He had great success. He was on a really good team. He knew his role. He accepted it, and he was cool. And he's also a guy that I think is going to be such a great ambassador for the university. I know some people probably don't care about this. I'll tell you who cares about this, the next generation. You think there's not 27,000 15-year-olds right now who watch those Malik Thomas videos of I got 5, like watching all those and think that guy's cool, and also watched him play in March Madness and watched him care as much as he did about being a Razorback. You think that crap doesn't matter? I promise you it does. And I think you add him to the long list of great guards that have played for John Calipari. Obviously, his own teammate was one of them. I think Malik Thomas is a guy that for the next however many years, while he's playing in the NBA, while he's doing whatever, I think he's going to come back to Fayetteville because he clearly rocks with the city. He rocks with the fan base. I also think he's going to represent the Razorbacks well, which, again, some people may not care about. I think that's cool. I always love having guys like that. I mean, how often do I text you about Hogs doing crap in the NBA? Like, I'm going to be texting you all the time about Malik Thomas. And, oh, man, he went for 30 the other night. Like, I can't wait for that.
I also love how, he's still so young. Like, he's got the braces and everything. But the dude's a killer, man. He was ready to fight to the death against like Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley.
He was getting in Jaden Bradley's face.
I thought they were really going to fight.
And by the way, credit to Jaden Bradley because one, he didn't like do anything crazy last night, but he's just a mature adult. Like he's the type of guy that wins in college basketball. He didn't necessarily like enjoy that from Malik Thomas, and not like he was scared of Malik. And he was winning the game, so I'm sure it was easy for him to dismiss. But like, he didn't really go back at Malik. He was kind of like, okay, this guy's talking to me. Like, I'm just gonna let him yell at me. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully also, actually, there's no hopefully to it. We know that, of course, Malik Thomas, whatever ends up being, because I agree with your thing about him being back in Fayetteville and like kind of training and all that. I also know he's going to be hanging out with us at Blue Ember again someday. Just like, which again is another great thing that he did with us, but also with Blue Ember Smokehouse. And folks, Blue Ember is the place for all of your barbecue needs. Really appreciate them. Really appreciate our guy, Peyton, being a part of it and everything when it comes to our coverage here at Inside Arkansas. And the best thing about it is that they have Easter around the corner with some great Easter hams. And a lot of you are going to be cooking up for the family and everything. Well, it can be a tough thing to try to navigate through all the family, all the cousins, everyone's coming in, counting on you. Be like, hey, you better have some great food. You better be able to come through in the clutch. Well, you don't have to look no further because you're going to have Blue Ember Smokehouse take care of you each and every step of the way, as well as with all the sides that are going to go along with it. And you can come and pick it up straight and directly from any of their conveniently located 6 locations here in the state of Arkansas, whether it's Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, or in Rogers. Give them a call today, and they'll get you taken care of and make sure that you have the best Easter ever, as well as for all of your catering needs, no matter what the event may be. It's going to be Blue Ember Smokehouse. So thank you for supporting your local Blue Ember Smokehouse. So we have some more things to get into, but really appreciate, again, everyone tuning in. Got to continue on with these super chats. Again, awesome stuff here, but from Bungus says, I appreciate you guys. All the streams, report cards, breakdowns. It makes the week go by a lot faster with all the content y'all put out. WPS.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a thing is we have a lot of stuff that we do. One thing that we will never have is a lack of content. You're always going to get that. That's for sure. So shout out to Washburn Idol, just saying Malik, I got 5 Thomas. So,
I like that.
Yeah, I love that too.
You a fake 4-star.
I don't know. It's this again. It's a username, but we'll go with it. But appreciate you. It says $5 into the wishing well for Malik Thomas to return. Also for consuming all y'all's content, I owe you.
We don't know us anything, but we do appreciate that. We'll put it in the Malik Thomas piggy bank.
Yeah, and it's into the jar.
Hey, and if he winds up not coming back, we will just use that for other services.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there are no shortage of players we can pay
for
to
the replacement.
Arkansas.
That's right.
That's right. Let's see some other chats here too, folks. William F. Pick says, I was ready to have a conversation who's the best number 5 in Arkansas history is if we would have won that game last night.
You can still have that conversation.
Still very much. I mean, especially if we're saying that we can't have the conversation because Darius Acuff didn't go far enough. I mean, I know Darren McFadden was on that team that went to the SEC title game. They finished 10-4.
Yeah.
And then the next year they went 8-5. It's like,
Yeah.
And I don't know if Darius Acuff not going to the Final Four disqualifies him from being in that class of guys. Now, when you compare him to maybe Corliss as the greatest basketball player ever, I think we can still probably I don't know. I always just take the cop out of saying he's the best hog of my lifetime, but maybe that's how that conversation goes. But in terms of the number 5, I think he's right up there in it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you don't have to sit there and say, well, he's better than him or he's better than that. Like, the conversation is just that. Hey, he's in the conversation. Yeah.
We have to have a conversation about this. Well, all right, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I meant to bring this up, Chris, and I apologize. But the whole thing with Jacob says Cal's not going to UNC, right?
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to UNC.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Some dork on CBS Sports said that, which I thought was interesting. I was wondering, though, when that job opened, like if Cal's name would just pop up on there just because he's he is rejuvenated and I think has answered a lot of questions that were out there about him at the end of the Kentucky tenure. But nah, man, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, like that's, again, it goes back to the coaching search, almost like in football, where it's like, all right, all these names are getting mentioned, the obvious names. I have to think of a name that no one said yet. And I got to put it out there because I want to be unique and original. And that's kind of like whoever that was that did. It was just like, Coach Cal. Why? Like, just because of the name? You think that as good of friends, if they are as good of friends, and trust me, they are. John Tyson and Cal, this is a 2-year deal. We'll see you later. Like, yeah, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I don't know what Cal's going to do post Arkansas, but I have a hard time believing that he's going to be a head coach at a major university after he leaves Arkansas once again.
You know what I don't think he's going to do is move back to Lexington and retire, which is, I feel like, what a lot of the expectation over there is. What did he say on McAfee, that when the season's over, he likes to be toes up in the sand on the Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
He's probably going to be back up that way. Honestly, if I had to guess, that's what he's going to do.
He'll be buried in the Northeast. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and that
should be.
Yeah,
that's what made him.
I'd say it's fine. Like, anybody that has issues with that, it's like, no, it's totally fine. Let's see. Mr. Evan Baker says, I think we'll look back and see Arizona as the champs. This loss won't look as bad. Well, it's true.
True. You just don't want, I don't know. You don't want to feel like you were that overmatched. I like, if Arizona wins the title, good for them. But the more I think about it, because it was like, would you rather lose the way you did last year or lose the way you did last night? It's not setting well with me the way that it went down.
Yeah.
And like the margin, I don't like that. The historically awful defensive performance, I don't like that. Just getting completely outmatched there. I don't like that. Like, it's not going to make me feel better if Arizona wins the title versus loses tomorrow against Purdue. For me, it's like, I don't want to be in that position again where you go into a game in the NCAA tournament and it becomes clear very quickly, like, oh, they ain't got a chance in hell in this one. I don't like that. And they're making steps in the right direction, but it's like we said at the top of the show, there is another gear that this program can kick it into to get to the elite of the elite status there.
Yeah. Also, hey, shout out to Washburn Idaho. Great super chat. Appreciate it, man. Says, all right, basketball's in good hands and we have a banner to hang. Yes, BBN, we actually do, and you do not, which is true. He says, but it's 50 degrees and rainy, which means it's baseball weather in Northwest Arkansas. Let's sweep the O'Sullivans in Florida.
Yeah, I like that. Also, I guess they just add the year to the already existing banner, right?
Yeah.
For Sweet 16.
I think so. Yeah,
I think that's how.
Well, when you get
that's what they do. Yeah.
When you get so many, you know,
right?
you have to.
I mean, but genuinely, like, I think that's what they did. They did for like the last year's one, must ones, and all that. So we will just add to the banner. We're not adding a new banner. We're not hanging a new one. But yeah, let's sweep the Kevin O'Sullivans. Man, is there anybody more fun to root against than Kevin O'Sullivan?
Very few.
Just a slime ball, man.
There's a lot of people I'd rather root against than Kevin O'Sullivan, and it's not just because of that. Because I just really hate a lot of people.
Nate Oates.
Yeah, I mean,
Nate Oates.
This list is endless, honestly.
Yeah, and basketball, like Todd,
he's on it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he is on it. He is on it.
Especially,
he's my top 10.
Cameron was talking about it on the show because Cameron is a former grounds crew guy. I feel like for him, this weekend's personal.
It's personal.
If you're going to chew out the grounds crew at another place, that tells me how you view all of us, and I don't like that.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, maybe they need to just settle it out there at the Fight House, because that's the best place when it comes to solving your issues. And sometimes, you know, you got to do it in the ring, and sometimes you got to get the training in the ring to be able to fight in the ring, and that's what Fight House is there for you. It's elite training and recovery. It's the #1 boxing, MMA, and strength training gym in Northwest Arkansas. But it's not just that. You also can have the free weights. You can also get the cross training, the cold plunge, the sauna, the cardio, the turf, sleds, everything that you could possibly want in a gym and more. It's the newest place, and you got to check it out because they are always going to get you hyped up and prepared. I know that it's something to where if you're upset with the way that the Razorback basketball season ended and you need to take it out on something, well, take it out at Fight House Gym. Or if there's going to be some other losses that you may take in life and you need to just air out some frustration, there's no better therapy besides listening to Inside Arkansas Live and Pot the Palace and Bombastic Podcast than checking out Fight House Gym. So you can learn more at fighthousegym.com. It's also there at 10131 Webway in Fayetteville, exit 58 off Interstate 49. And you can also call them today at 951-623-9745 with Fight House Gym. All right, so more of your chats too. Actually, I'll tell you what, before we get back to chats, I want to play this video real quick from Cal last night because I want y'all's thoughts. I know it's not about Big Blue Nation in Kentucky and all that, even though they make every single thing about them, no matter what. But Cal said this last night, and a lot of people were up in arms saying he's taking a shot at Mark Pope or a shot at Kentucky or however. And I want y'all's thoughts if that's actually what transpired here.
We're all in the same boat right now. There are a lot of people who have no idea. How about this? You have no recruits. You have no idea who's coming back. You don't have the money you had a year ago. You do not. And now all of a sudden you're trying to keep guys, figure out who else out there wants to come and who wants to put like a bidding war, which we wouldn't be involved in. So
is that a shot at Mark Pope in Kentucky, like all the Kentucky fans were trying to make it to be?
I don't think it was a direct shot at Mark Pope in Kentucky, but I think if the shoe fits, then it can be. Like, that's the way that I interpret this because Cal's absolutely right. And the full context of his quote is he's just kind of talking about what lies ahead in terms of figuring out rosters and everything like that, because he's been pretty vocal about how, there's a lot of dudes out there who don't even recruit freshmen anymore because they just wait around for the portal. So, okay, check this box. You have no recruits. And then not having the money that you had last year, Kentucky certainly fits that criteria. They were pretty open about, hey, we're going all in right now until this rev share and the NIL go and all that stuff comes into account and it gets reined in a little bit. So, yeah, if you spent $22 million on your roster and all of a sudden you don't have that much, but you're trying to figure out, okay, who do we pay to retain? Who can we keep? Who can we not keep? We don't have any recruits. How are we going to add on to that? That's a tough situation to be in for sure. So, no, get over yourselves. I don't think he was taking a direct shot at Kentucky, but you do meet all the criteria of the type of program that's in a tough spot right now. So it kind of is what it is from that standpoint. But I'll say this too. I've enjoyed the banter, the back and forth and everything with BBN, but it has reached the point now to where I do think it's kind of pathetic. So I have just every single thing that hits my feed. I'm not blocking people or anything like that, but I'm muting it all. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't care about it anymore. I don't think they're relevant at this stage anymore. You go spend your money and get whoever you want, and we'll see how you do next year. But the constant measuring and comparisons with Cal, and I'm even over it when Arkansas fans do that. And I like to throw it back in their face a little bit because it's just such an easy dub for Arkansas right now. They made the second weekend. You wish you were there. They won the SEC tournament. You've been bitching about not getting there for so long now. You literally did less with so much more, which is what you accuse Cal of doing all the time. Like, he just takes win after win after win after win, and they keep trying to find this. Well, you only went one more round further. You were only 3 seeds higher. You only won 5 more games this season. It's like, man, just stop it and worry about yourselves. We're good over here. I like what Arkansas has going on. I'm so tired of this played out stuff with them, man. I'm just over it.
Yeah. So, it's weird. He starts the tangent by saying we're all in the same boat because he was talking about roster construction, how this time of year sucks and your year ends. And now here you are, you got to figure out your whole roster. And so I don't think like the overall point, and perhaps I just completely misinterpreted this and misread this completely. I did think he was taking a shot at Kentucky, mostly just because he listed off exactly their situation of you don't have any recruits, you don't have anybody coming back, and you don't have money. Like I thought that was a direct shot at Kentucky. But I thought that was also a reaction to Mark Pope talking about him, where he was kind of like, hey, if you're going to throw these little subliminal shots at me, I'm just going to, now the gloves are off. I'm going to talk about you. And you mentioned an easy dub. I think this is a very easy dub for Cal, where it's like, hey, yeah, my situation's tough, and we're going to have an offseason where we're going to have to figure some things out, but it could be worse. I could be Kentucky. And so I kind of interpreted it as a little bit of a jab at Kentucky, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing is like if you're going to be talking that noise and you're going to be saying that stuff, it's like I'm fine with it if that's the shot, but it's also, I don't know. I kind of like, it's a very generic, vague thing that talking about what everybody's going through. So, again, it's always one of those things, like you said, Curtis, if you're offended by it or if it hits you, it's probably because it's true about you. Like that's what it's something that you have to deal with. But yeah, it's amazing how everything they try to make it all about them and it's not. And also back to the point of, Kentucky fans, which have been a lot of my mentions talking about all this stuff of you did this, you did that. I was like, I can't believe that you guys are actually talking about anything. Like it's like it's objectively Arkansas, better team, better season, better coaching, better everything than Kentucky this year. Yes, you got the win in Bud Walton. Congrats. What'd that get you? Nothing. You got housed by Iowa State. Like, so I don't want to hear anything about it, but I don't think it'll ever end, unfortunately. A few more chats here too. By the way, Joshua says, I'm tuning in from Northern California. Y'all drove through my city from Portland to San Jose, and I love the sports schedule. Games are wrapped up by 9 p.m. I have an excuse to leave work early. So there you go. As far as being on the West Coast.
I'm just a night owl. So I kind of like late night sports. I like it being dark when there's sports on. And, I like being able to get home, decompress, do your thing, and then sports come on.
Yeah. Also, Patrick Angie says, is shooting a concern with DJ, Billy, and the freshmen coming in? I don't see the knockdown shooter.
Yeah, they would definitely. I mean, I think they would find a way to figure it out. I think you would also, like I was saying earlier, hopefully you bring in a guy in the front court who can space the floor a little bit, especially because Trevin wasn't like a lights out, consistent, everyday 3-point shooter, but he spaced the floor for Arkansas. I thought that was huge. And so, yeah, I think you've got to replace the backcourt that you had this year was such a high percentage, high efficiency shooting team. And we know this team, Arkansas under John Calipari is never going to shoot 35 threes a game, but I think they would probably need to add some type of shooting. Guys also have to improve. DJ improved this year a good bit in the 3-point department. Billy improved incrementally, wasn't a good 3-point shooter. Hopefully he becomes at least a serviceable one. Carter Knox is the big one here in this shooting conversation.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's the best shooter Arkansas has ever had or anything like that, but that's a guy who on paper should be a 5 or 6 attempt per game type of guy, shooting 36 to 38, 39%. If he can be that guy, your freshman, I think Jordan Smith Jr. can knock down threes. Like, you've got a lot of guys that can shoot but aren't necessarily shooters. And so I think it's something to keep an eye on for sure, but we'll see how the roster build shakes out.
Also, Bobby just says, Curtis, all in caps, you like the Charlotte big 7-footer 250?
Nope. Not good enough.
Yeah.
If you average 10 and 8 at Charlotte, what are you going to average at Arkansas? He was at Providence in the Big East before that and didn't do anything. My standards are higher for this spot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll just come in and double that because, the competition gets less when he comes to Arkansas, obviously.
He reminds me of that guy from UMass a few years ago that was going to bring to Arkansas. What was that guy's name? Cohen. Yes. Yeah. Cohen, who you look at numbers and you're like, okay, yeah, pretty good numbers. But then you're like, oh, all he has is a jump hook. That's it.
Yeah.
No athleticism, just a jump hook.
Also, Trey wants to know, do you guys think there'll be any shakeups in the coaching staff that will be out there?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so, but you never say never.
What do you mean by shakeups? You know what I mean?
Like
is anybody going to get fired?
Right.
No.
Yeah. Is somebody leaving for a different job? Obviously.
Hopefully.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like, could happen.
We got
Absolutely.
some good candidates. If any staffs out there in the country are looking for some, guys with some experience that have been on high level staffs and maybe even have some head coaching experience, hit me up. I got some options for you.
Yeah. This is from JT Enormous. If he says, I don't know how good he is, but the Kareem Martell kid will play. No, you'd say he wasn't even on the team this week. Yeah. That's an interesting thing that is a possibility. It's like, what happened there?
Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of these people that are on Arkansas's roster. And we're not in the business of trashing guys, and I'm not about to do that here, but we know that how Cal builds his roster is he has 4 or 5 guys on the team who have no chance of playing, have no chance of contributing, and are just there. And we don't have to be happy about that. But what we don't have to do all offseason, because from the day that Kareem Martell announced he was coming to Arkansas to literally today, we keep getting questions about him as if there's any hope that he's ever going to play. And like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's like, where are y'all getting that from? Because I remember we kept getting asked about him in the offseason. It's like, what about this Rattell kid? What about this Rattell kid? It's like, how many different ways do we have to say it in a polite way that he's not going to play? Paolo Semedo, no, he's not going to play at Arkansas. Elmer Zaffich, no, he's not going to play at Arkansas. Jaden Carletwa, no, he's not going to play at Arkansas. Like, I know it's stupid that they build a roster this way, and it probably is confusing for you guys, but like, I don't know how, like, you're almost getting us to a point where we're going to have to be like, no, these guys can't play at this level. And we have to just pretty much say that out loud.
Yeah. So I just still feel like, especially in a Cal team, it's like if you have a future here or if you have a future of playing, regardless of your age, you're going to get some minutes. You're going to play. But if you're not playing, then I think it's just the answer is there. You're just not good enough to play, and that's okay. But yeah, just seeing somebody on the roster be like, hey, can this guy play next year? If they didn't even get us, if they didn't even sniff, even in walk-on time, didn't even get on the court, then there's probably a little bit something there to it. So Kingsley says, Curtis, curious, is Cal's history of being guard focused hindering from landing a monster and or meatball out of the high school or the portal? Is that contributing to the misses?
List off for me the misses. I think Big Arafon would be one from the high school ranks.
Sanak, I guess.
They never really had a chance with him. I don't know. I don't think there's that many misses. He'd been a nice one to have. I wish they would get a 5-star, freshman big man in there. The misses from the portal were missed evaluations more than they were missing on the guys that you prioritize. Like Big Morez would probably be the only one. So yeah, I don't know. If I was and I understand what you're saying, because they are usually, pretty guard heavy in there. But at the same time, Cal's one of the few people that still prioritizes a traditional big man. It's like I would want to play for Cal. Like he'll actually throw it in there to the post. What do you say if you don't have a post presence, your team is a fraud or whatever? So we'll see what it looks like this year. I don't know if there's anything to that. I know he got a bunch of freshman bigs when he was at Kentucky, but it is kind of weird, isn't it? That's like the one thing he really hasn't done yet here. And he's had a lot of really good 5-stars that have come in his 3 recruiting classes, but it's like that year when he left Kentucky and he had some of the guys come over with him, like Quaintance wasn't one of them and Somto wasn't one of them. And you haven't got one the last couple classes. So it is a little bit interesting. And this was not a deep big man class this year. I don't know. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Where's the Oscar Sheebways? Where's those guys? That's what I've kind of, was expecting Cal to bring in, but one of those types of players that are just big dudes down low at some point. Maybe next year's the year. Maybe it's the year. Let's see. Tony Brown says chances at Paul. Is how you ever say that name?
Oh, Sarui. This kind of goes exactly to what we were just talking about. That define chances. You mean chances in 2027, which is the class that he's a recruit in, or for him to reclass and join in 2026? Which, if that were to happen, cool. You got your 5-star big man, but you got one who's 17 years old and supposed to be a high school senior. Very, very talented, but is that going to solve your issues from what you faced in the front court this year? Certainly wouldn't turn him down. I'd be excited to get him, but I think Arkansas is in a really good spot there. West Virginia, interestingly enough, another school, and he's going to be heavily recruited. Now, he might be a guy though who doesn't come available until the summer. Like he might very well play on the circuit in the EYBL and then decide, hey, you know what, I'm gonna reclass it and try to go straight to college. I know. Man, I can't remember his name, but he played on the team that JJ Andrews played in the Peach Jam final, a big man there. And it was like the day after Peach Jam, he reclassed and signed at a Big East school and went right away. So maybe that could be a thing they do. And it's worth keeping an eye on, because it could be a situation where, okay, Arkansas goes out and they get, their starting 5 and their starting 4, and we're freaking out and we're up in arms about it. And you get to June wondering what's going on. Then all of a sudden somebody reclasses and you add another piece later, which I don't want that, because I'll just be stressed about it all summer, but it's possible.
Just a few more here real quick. Trey just says, I hope John Tyson goes to Cal and says, open the checkbook and go get a roster, win a chip. I don't care how much it costs, get 10 dudes that can play. Listen, I think that I don't know the finances of it all, but I'm sure that Tyson is doing each and everything that he humanly possibly can to support Cal, because he wouldn't have put all the investment and put all the patches that are going to be on the jersey and all that stuff. He wouldn't have done all of that if he was pinching pennies for the basketball program.
I think John Tyson is spending a very fair amount of money for the Arkansas basketball program.
Yes.
I mean, I would be okay with him spending more, but it's like I think he's paid his dues.
Yeah. I think it's working out. So
this guy says Paul Osaru is from Arizona, though. What's his connection with Cal or Arkansas? What's Darius Acuff is from Michigan. What was his? You know what I mean? Like,
we have a spot on a basketball team that we want him to play.
Right. Cal's connection with every big time recruit is that he's John Calipari.
Yep.
You know what
or his like dad played for him at some point. Yeah,
which
that's pretty much
is entirely possible, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, he's the greatest recruiter ever to do it. And his resume, he's got a Rolodex of dudes in the league. Like, that's his connection with all these guys.
I would say it's not like this roster that Arkansas just had. I mean, literally, Sealy was the only guy with any type of like grassroots down here in Arkansas or anything. You know?
Right.
Let's see. Woo MF Big says, "Can we just skip football?" No, we have.
It's not anywhere close to happening, so we don't have to worry about that for like 6 months.
Yeah, and if you're talking about spring football, it's like, no, we're going to be there. We're going to look at it. We're going to check it out. Because you guys are going to love it, whether you say you do or not. You're going to be interested. You're going to be, I don't care about football. Be like, wait a minute. KJ Jackson completed 10 passes in a row. Whoa. Yeah. I think that he could go out there and be all SEC. That's how it's just going to go. So, also, Halitz Lynn says, when John says it's in the trenches, it means in the bathroom. He loves meeting fans there. Yes, that's my favorit thing. That's what I do. I just
hey,
love
Curtis met Draymond
fans.
Green in the bathroom yesterday. So
apparently,
honestly, Curtis might be taking your crown as the bathroom guy.
Literally, I'll just put it this way: you guys have seen those. It's like the games where there's all the urinals lined up, and it's like, okay, if there's somebody at this one, then where do you go? Whatever. And I was already there, so this is a Draymond Green decision. And he skipped one, but then he was right there.
Man, yeah, I don't know. That probably has to. You have to be beating famous people.
I think I think there's probably nothing worse in the world than making eye contact with somebody at a urinal. So I was just like eyes straight forward, but I could hear the conversation. He was in there with somebody else, and they were talking about Darius Acuff and everything. So I finished my business, and as I turned around, I was like, "Oh shit, that's Draymond Green right there." Of course, you can't say anything to him while he's taking a leak, so we didn't have any interaction, but we were very close to one another there in the bathroom. So,
no, that was the right call. Nothing worse than trying to like start a conversation with somebody when you're in the.
Yeah, what am I going to do? Reach out to shake his hand? Or no, absolutely not. So.
Yeah, that would be some problematic stuff right there, though. So, let's see. Guys, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up here in Inside Arkansas? Oh, hold on. Final super chat on it. It says, until the season starts and we get blown out 3 times, I will always be ready for football. So appreciate you.
I mean, listen, we'll always be ready for football. And listen, the misconception, like we don't care about football, that we don't cover football. I would argue we cover football more thoroughly than literally the entire state of Arkansas. And we're gonna definitely do our part when it comes to that. I don't buy, one, that you guys care about football, and 2, I don't think any of us necessarily right now have like a high degree of optimism. And so it is what it is. And like if tomorrow or if on Monday, that's all you guys want to talk about, I'll be glad to meet you there and talk about it. I just don't necessarily buy that that's like a thing that really is intriguing to people. But I think at some point over the offseason, people will talk themselves in and be like, you know what, 7 wins, 8 wins, they could do it. And then we'll be there to be like, oh, interesting, you feel that way. Haters. I don't know if I see it. And then we'll be haters. And it's just a beautiful merry-go-round that we do.
For sure. And we did just spend an hour in the chat and nobody really asked about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
right. We do a show every day. And it's always open. If you guys flood the chat with football, I promise you we'll talk about it. I just don't think that's a real thing.
I am looking forward to, are they on spring break right now?
Yeah, spring break comes to an end and they start practice back up.
They'll be back next Monday.
And I am looking forward to getting out there and watching
for sure
these guys, because just the way, I mean, they started on Selection Sunday and then we've been gone for like a month, it feels like. So we missed the first 2 or 3 practices or whatever they've had. So I am looking forward to getting out there, seeing them. I want to see what the Ryan Silverfield method of coaching looks like. I want to see those quarterbacks. So we will have some good stuff to talk about. And but yeah, right now it just doesn't seem like that's the vibe for folks.
Nope. But hey, we'll be on top of it and everything else going on in the spring sports with the Razorbacks. But fellas, any final thoughts before we Finally get out of here and leave the great city of San Jose.
Oh, man. I'll skip all the sappy stuff. We did that last night, but we really do appreciate everybody. And it's kind of like we talked about earlier. I think it's just been really, really cool. We were in Portland, Oregon, and here we are in San Jose, California, and just the amount of people that have come up to us who did the thing where they're like, we know it's a lot of travel and it's tough on Razorback fans back in Arkansas, but this has been great for us. And by the way, when we can't see the Razorbacks in person, we sure do appreciate you guys. I think that's really cool. It's exactly why we do this, and appreciate everybody for all the love and support along the way. Looking forward to getting back home and seeing the wife and the kiddo. He's probably running around the house and everything by now, so I'm very excited about that. And I don't know, wish us safe travels because you know how this stuff goes.
Yeah, we've enjoyed our trip, but I am excited to be inside Arkansas. My final thought is about baseball tonight. One, I mean, I know it kind of sounds like a joke, but seriously, Arkansas plays a very important baseball game tonight. I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to cover it. And I hope you guys will join me on tonight's Bombastic. Also, you may notice, I don't know if you guys have heard, they're wearing new uniforms. They're wearing cool throwbacks, new little Norm DeBryan design. For those of you, obviously, a lot of people know who Norm DeBryan is and what he represents for the program. He was before my time. I grew up with my dad telling me all about those teams in 79 and 83 and all these that went on these great runs. And, when Norm DeBryan took over the job at Arkansas, it was literally a dirt field in the middle of nowhere with a chain link fence. It really makes me happy that, one, Arkansas is able to celebrate him and honor him, and that he's, inducted in the College Baseball Hall of Fame now this past year. That's awesome. And it's awesome that we're able to honor him, and he's able to see what the program has become. And he's been able to see it up close and personal because he's there freaking every day. Every time you go to Bomb, no matter what, you see Norm DeBryan there. I love that. I hope that tonight he gets the respect and the honor that he deserves for sure. And I know a lot of Hog fans are fired up for the uniforms and to celebrate an absolute GOAT.
Yep. And also on top of that, you better win, Arkansas. In honor, you have to win. It just has to happen. But again, appreciate echoing all the sentiments. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. So continue to hang out with us because we are going to do everything when it comes to the Razorback sports scene and continue it on. It doesn't stop in San Jose. We got it continued with Pod at the Palace, covering transfer portal season, as well as all the stuff going on with the roster. Of course, Razorback baseball season in full swing with Bombastic and the SEC side of things too. Spring football will be happening, so we're going to be on top of it. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Check out our social media at Inside Arkansas and follow our audio podcast wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And that'll do it for us today and for us from San Jose. Appreciate each and every one of you. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you then.